Greetings everyone, this is Tang with Fox Airsoft, and today's video is going to be a little bit different. We're going to talk about what are the first upgrades you should do to your airsoft gun. Now we're doing this from a little voiceover perspective because I'm working on a gun here, so you'll get to see me open up the gun, describe the components a little bit, and describe the process of upgrading it and what you can do to improve your performance out in the airsoft field. Now, quick disclaimer before we get rolling here. Trying to give you a perspective of where I'm coming from. The way I'm going to explain these modifications is really in a way that helps and works for most people who are starting out. There's a lot of opinionated people in small tech groups and stuff who say you have to do all kinds of crazy stuff to make the gun, work. I absolutely don't find that to be true. A lot of people can enjoy the game without throwing tons of money at the airsoft gun or modifying the heck out of it. There's nothing worse than reading tech advice and this person's barely opened a handful of guns or really can't solve their own problems or has a gun that even works. And that's the funniest thing, is the most opinionated people are the ones with guns that don't work. So with that, I want to give you kind of the rundown of the basics of what I would do. Alright, so on to the topic at hand. What are the first upgrades you should do? We get that question a lot, and the answer is not as simple as you think, because not all guns are created equally. But let's say you got yourself a nice, decent sport line gun. Nothing wrong with it the way it is. In fact, I would encourage you to use that the way it comes more often, unless you want to get more out of that performance and you're itching to upgrade. By that I mean really learn to appreciate what your airsoft gun can do. Hopefully you got it from us so that it's a good gun out of the box to be used on an airsoft field. Really get that hop up adjusted and dialed in, use the right ammo, and then go from there. Now the first upgrades I would probably suggest is probably upgrading to a better battery in an AEG. Now most people will start with the 9.6 volt nickel metal hydride, which is a perfectly good battery, a safe battery to start with. When you are looking for a little bit of more trigger response, for example, a better rate of fire, then you should look into a lithium polymer, aka LiPo battery. The 11-1s, for example, offer higher voltage, which will kind of wake up your gun, and you'll get that slightly quicker trigger response and better rate of fire. Now we're only talking about a marginal improvement here. This is just a good start for most people. You don't have to do anything to the gun or upgrade the gun or anything like that, so you can enjoy the benefits of it right away. Now, one thing with the higher voltage batteries like the lithium polymer, if you do a lot of semi-auto, your internal parts will wear a bit quicker because of that higher rate of fire. You're basically putting the gun into overdrive, and the typical amount that you'd fire with a standard battery, you're doing more shots in a shorter period of time, so more wear and tear. This could be anywhere from after 1,000 rounds to 10 or 15,000 rounds. Really depends on your shooting habits and how much semi-auto you do. Now the next upgrade I would look into seriously is a tight bore barrel and bucking upgrade. Most guns will come with a standard bore barrel and just a so-so bucking. I find that these two things really improve the accuracy of your gun. And with that accuracy, I guess you can say you get a little bit more usable range out of it. And you also sometimes get a tiny bump in FPS too. Quite simply, the tight bore barrel offers a tighter constriction, so the BB gives you less deviation as it travels to its target. And you can really improve your mechanical accuracy by pairing that with some heavier BBs. I often start with .25s, but I highly recommend .28s or even .32s if your gun has the FPS to push it. You'll see a lot more consistency and accuracy at range. And the last of the most basic upgrades that I would do that is outside of your gearbox is probably upgrading the motor. Now most guns will come with okay motors. They're not super efficient, but they get the job done. And on the higher end guns, the more expensive guns, the motors do perform better. They're better in response, better rate of fire. I found across the board, they get the job done. However, there is still room for improvement there if you are looking to spend some money. The upgraded motors that are available surpass many of the stock motors you'll find, whether it's a budget-oriented airsoft gun or a more expensive model. By that I mean it's more efficient, they deliver more torque, better rate of fire, snappier response, and they handle heat better. If you have an expensive gun and even though you're shooting a lot, you feel the motor grip getting warmer and warmer, that could be a sign that the motor could be replaced with a better one. Now, in terms of what motor you should get, that answer is going to be a little bit different for everyone depending on what your needs are. I would typically start by recommending most people a 30 to 35K motor. That would be considered a balanced motor or a little bit on the torquey side. You'll still get good rate of fire, if not better rate of fire than stock. If you go for a speed motor, your end game will obviously be rate of fire at the expense of torque. If you go for a torqueier motor that's in the lower RPM range, such as 18, 22K, for example, you'll notice the rate of fire drops dramatically. However, you have more torque. I like using those sometimes where I don't want the gun to be crazy fast, but I still want a nice trigger response. This is very situational, so before you go about purchasing a motor for a motor outside of 30 to 35K, I would ask some questions, whether it's with a local tech who you trust, your shop or whatever, before you go ahead and throw down on that motor. Okay, so that pretty much covers the most basic things I would tackle in my first steps of upgrading an AEG the way I think most people enjoy using it. With that, Fox Airsoft also does tech work locally and for those who are living in other states with some limitations. Be sure to check out our section on our website for tech and repair services if you are not in Colorado. If you are local, feel free to stop by, bring your airsoft gun, and speak to one of our techs to see what you'd like done and how we can help you out there. Hopefully you found this video useful and helps get you started on your journey to improving your airsoft gun performance or learning to tech on a basic level. My name's Tank from Fox Airsoft, and I will see you in the next video.